There are cities and then there's New York City. It is so great it's named twice, New York, New York. What makes New York City so unique and a great place to do business?
Welcome to Business Matters, a presentation of the Chamber Coalition, which comprises the New American Chamber of Commerce, the African American International Chamber of Commerce, and the Hispanic American International Chamber of Commerce. To become a chamber member, be a guest, or register for our events, go to www.nacc.nyc. That's www.nacc.nyc. Or call us at 718-722-9217. That's 718-722-9217.
A very warm welcome to everyone. We are joined by a very special guest, Cecilia Kushner, who is the Chief Strategy Officer for New York City Economic Development Corporation, EDC. Welcome. So good to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. So can you briefly tell us about the EDC and your role as Chief Strategy Officer?
Of course, happy to. So EDC, the New York City Economic Development Corporation, we are the economic development arm of the city. So we work for the mayor, and our job is to make sure that we're building a vibrant, inclusive, and globally competitive economy for all New Yorkers. And we're kind of known as the Swiss Army knife of city agencies. We do a lot of different things. We manage a lot of real estate on behalf of the city, 64 million square feet, most exactly. That goes from the food distribution center in the Bronx to the Brooklyn Army Terminal in Brooklyn. We do tax incentive. We support businesses and innovation industries. We also do a lot of planning in neighborhoods throughout the entire city and build a lot of capital projects, from parks to building to affordable housing. So we do many things to support the economy of the city. And in my role as Chief Strategy Officer, I'm in charge of what we call innovation industries. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. These are industries that we believe are going to grow tremendously over the next decades and are going to create a lot of jobs in New York City. So we're both there to support their growth, support the businesses that are part of these industries, as well as supporting New Yorkers entering into these industries. And I also oversee our planning efforts, so focused on making sure that neighborhoods have everything that their residents need in order to live to their full potential.
Okay, great. So there are cities, and of course there's New York City, which is so great it's named twice, New York, New York. What makes New York City so unique and a great place to do business?
I think it's a great question. I think resoundingly what we hear from the business community is talent. People want to be here because we have a diverse pool of incredibly smart, talented, and hardworking people. New Yorkers are very New Yorkers are very strong on entrepreneurship and grit. I want to give you a few examples of how this is coming through post-COVID. So we've recovered all of the jobs that were lost during COVID. Just during this administration, in the Adams administration, we've created 282,000 private sector jobs. Just to give a sense of scales, that's bigger than the city of Buffalo. That's bigger than the city of Jersey City. So an extremely large number of jobs. About 1 in 6 businesses that you see in New York City today have been created in the last 12 months. So a lot of the post-COVID recovery has been fueled by the entrepreneurship and grit of New Yorkers who have taken a risk in creating a new business. And this is really kind of what fuels our economy and at the core what fuels our city.
That's good, because I was going to ask you about the post-COVID recovery, so you covered that. So what are some of the requirements or the process for doing business with the EDC for New Yorkers?
That's right. So there are so many ways in which we interact with New Yorkers, businesses, and industries. I think the best way to start is really go on our website at edc.nyc. We may be building something in your neighborhood. We may be managing an industrial asset, and you have an opportunity to lease up space in one of our assets. We may be having a tax incentive that is specific to your project. There's a lot of different ways in which we can help, and so we invite people to be in conversation with us. Our job is really to help people do what's best for New York City's economy.
Okay. And what are some of the challenges that you see, your the EDC experiences with persons trying to do business, that you'd like them to say, okay, before you come to us, take care of those things?
That's right. I think what's important for us is for people to have a clear view of what success looks like for them, either as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or as an industry. And what are the areas where the city can be most helpful, which is very different based on the industry and the business. So sometimes people need funding, capital funding for infrastructure related to their business. Sometimes they need a bridge capital loan. Sometimes they need access to workforce, and it's really hard for them to find talent. So I think for people to come to us, the most helpful is to have a specific issue where you believe we can have a role to play in helping you solve it.
Okay, so there's always been a campaign for minorities to have a slice of the big apple regarding doing business and getting contracts. So can we talk about that, and have the goals been met? How is that whole process going?
That's right. And again, core to our mission is to make sure that all New Yorkers have an opportunity to play their best potential in New York City's economy. We do that in a lot of different ways, because we're a big capital agency and spend a significant amount of money investing in the city. We have our own MWDB requirements, and I'm really proud to say that as an agency, we have a really high number of 35% consistently over the last few years. So that's the first way in which, we're supporting kind of local diverse businesses. We do a lot of investment in capacity building with MWDB firms as well, and we'll talk, I think, a little bit about that a little more in the next segment. We do a lot of investment in diverse entrepreneurship, so helping diverse New Yorkers enter into the future of the economy through internship. For example, we have an extremely successful life science internship where we've pipelined about 700 students in 200 companies over the last 5 years. These are students that for the most part come from the CUNY system and would not have an opportunity and a network to get into an industry like life science. We also do that with diverse entrepreneurship around tech. We have a number of programs where we help interested New Yorkers to enter into the tech sector that we know offers well-paying jobs, but again, is not necessarily an easy one to enter if you don't have personal relationship and personal network. So there's a lot of different ways in which we play. And then we finally also invest in neighborhoods where there is a concentration of underrepresented New Yorkers and highest level of unemployment, for example, and making sure that we're investing in our asset, we're investing in community center, education, kind of quality of life, and affordable housing as well.
Okay, so what are some of the current projects that one can expect or should know about regarding doing business with the EDC?
That's right. So we have a tremendous amount of things in the hopper right now. So I'm just going to go through just a few to give you a sense of breadth of what we're working on. So the first one is the downtown Manhattan Heliport. So this is a site that's on the East River in Manhattan. We are having an open procurement right now that we released late last year. It has two main goals. The first one is to use this site for what we called marine highway or clean freight, which is how can you bring goods by barge on the water rather than having them on trucks sitting in traffic, as well as transitioning the fleet of helicopters to a new type of aircraft that the industry throughout the world is kind of piloting, and that's really exciting for the future. These are called eVTOLs. They're called electric vehicle takeoff and landing, and they're incredibly quiet, and so they allow for kind of fast transit, but with the much better quality of life for residents around it. So we're really excited to see what's going to happen with this procurement at the downtown Manhattan Heliport. Another completely different project that we are working on is the Cannabis Loan Fund. So this is cheap capital to support early stage cannabis businesses and to allow them to be able to compete with larger players in the field. So this is also open. We've received quite a lot of response, so we're excited to be able to disperse this money to support local businesses to enter into this new industry. And then finally, maybe because it kind of made the news last week is the MCORE program. This is called the Manhattan Commercial Revitalization Program. So as we know, COVID has changed the way people work. We have a lot more hybrid workers, a lot more remote workers. We've seen our commercial office stock in Midtown and Lower Manhattan kind of age, and it's really important that we continue to invest in it so commercial building keeps on getting better and they can be attractive to workers and for firms to come back. So this is a tax incentive that helps developers of commercial building office space in Manhattan make really necessary investments into their office buildings to bring them to par with competitive office buildings today.
Well, these sound like very exciting projects, and I can imagine the cannabis, as you mentioned, is getting quite a bit of traction.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So what is the process of doing business with the EDC? If you can just share some of the steps.
That's right. I think the first step is go on our website. It's edc.nyc. There it will clearly tell you if you want to lease on our property, where to go. If you're interested in responding to a procurement, where to go. If you're interested in a tax incentive, like where to go. If you just are a firm that is interested in coming to New York City and exploring growing in New York City, we have a business development team, and they're here to support you. We have a lot of different ways to interact with folks, and we just really invite them to be in partnership with us.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Kushner, for sharing this great information about the EDC and doing business with.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
You are invited to the Chamber Coalition Small Business Sense Bootcamp. Join our 5-session webinar series where we provide education and business preparation for small business owners and startups. Learn the basics of business planning, how to finance your business alternatives and your credit as an asset, marketing and social media strategies, small business solutions, legal, tax, accounting, banking, and insurance, and how to do business with the government and corporations. Register at startupsbootcamp.eventbrite.com